Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, arrived in Moscow for a two-day visit, and will meet with Russian Foreign Minister, Sergey Lavrov to address a range of bilateral issues, including focus on trade, currencies, and energy. Moscow said on Monday, a day before their foreign ministers met to talk, that Russia and India both want a more just and polycentric world order, and both countries' positions on the most important issues are similar. The ministry also stated that both countries indicate proximity of perspectives on the most critical issues and stand for commitment to the generally recognized standards of international law, inscribed in the UN Charter. In a further statement, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated, "We are aiming to promote an uniting agenda and develop a constructive conversation in the field of interstate relations." Jaishankar and Lavrov would also discuss how to progress collaborative cooperation in critical areas and compare notes on planned contacts. According to the report, the trade and investment, transportation and logistics, the use of national currencies in mutual settlements, as well as attractive projects in the energy sector, particularly in the Arctic Shelf and the Russian Far East, are going to be the primary topics of discussion during the talks. Beside ensuring smooth trade in national currencies and regular supplies of energy, fertilizer, and other commodities, Jaishankar's trip is being held against the backdrop of India's lukewarm relations with China and the need for regular defense supplies from Russia for the Indian military during the upcoming winter months. Both of these factors will be in play during Jaishankar's time in Russia. India hopes for regular defense supplies from Russia. The bilateral relations between the two countries bear the character of a special and privileged strategic partnership, and effective interaction mechanisms have been formed between the two countries over the past decade. And even though India's ties to the United States continue to strengthen, Russia still remains India's most important military partner, and India remains hopeful of striking new defense deals with Russia. India was reliant almost solely on the British and other Western nations for its arms imports immediately after independence. But this dependence waned, and by the 1970s, India was importing several weapons systems from the USSR, making it country's largest defense importer for decades when it came to both basic and sophisticated weapons systems. Though far from the 80% ratio of the Cold War, it nevertheless illustrates India's huge dependency on Russia, especially considering that tensions between India and China over the LAC remain extremely active. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, India was the largest buyer of Russian armaments from 2017 to 2021, with Russian equipment accounting for 46% of India's total arms purchases. China and India have been involved in a two-year border dispute in the Himalayas. With China remaining India's most vital strategic competitor, the future of their relationship will be challenging. Therefore, it is crucial for India to have assistance from both Russia and the US to deal with China. And even if the India-Russia military connection is on the downswing, it will still endure for decades, because India will continue to rely on Russian armaments, ammunition, and parts. For example, the cruise missiles that India exports to Southeast Asian countries cannot function without Russian propulsion systems. According to an estimate, nearly two-thirds of India's military equipment originates in Russia. In fact, it has provided some of the most sensitive and important weapons platforms that India has required from time to time, including nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers, tanks, guns, fighter jets, and missiles. Even though India wants to build up its own defense capabilities, but in practical terms, the Indian military is dependent on Russia to supply both building materials and finished products. Given the geopolitical scenario, any hypothetical clash with Pakistan or China, or both together, will see Delhi look towards Moscow, whether it's for military resupplies or spares.